Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we check in with the city's Public Works Department. My guest today is Justin Clausen, who is the newly appointed operations manager with the City of Ames Public Works Department. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, you wore a former hat as construction supervisor, and I understand you're still wearing both those hats right now.
Yes, I am. I was promoted about 2 weeks ago, so I've been able to do both jobs here for a while, and I'll continue that for probably the next couple of weeks as we wrap up the engineering side of things with the construction supervisor position, and I'll be ramping up into the operations manager.
And you did do a great job of letting people know what was going on throughout the city with the construction updates, both on the website and on our Channel 12 as well. Some of those projects, as you mentioned, are wrapping up, and then you'll transition into operations manager. What will your role be as operations manager?
My role in the operations side is more administrative than I had in the past. So I'm going to oversee the street maintenance. So that's patching potholes, minor joint repair, things like that. Water main utility maintenance, streets and grounds, cemeteries, and also a big one that affects people, probably the snow fighting operations.
So all the snow removal, and now obviously we're moving into that time of year. Your work then is really transportation infrastructure?
Yes, it's primarily in the transportation side and also the utility side as well with the water main and sanitary sewers. We oversee the water main breaks and sanitary sewer backups if they happen with the operations crews.
So this is also the year for water main breaks. It's been sort of a busy season, and I just anticipate with that climate change, that change in temperature really is usually one of the precursors to seeing a lot of those water main breaks.
It is. The last year was a pretty rough year for the operations department and water main breaks. They had more than an average year. A lot of that had to do with the lack of subsoil moisture. The drier it is, the deeper the frost tends to go and can affect those water mains. This year, we've had a wetter fall, so we're hoping that we can go back to more historical averages and not have such a large hit out of that fund there.
So as the construction supervisor, you mentioned that you're sort of finishing up a lot of these projects, but as the weather turns colder and the snow starts to fall, we sort of start this new operation around snow emergencies and the snow ordinance.
Yes, 4 days into my new position, we had the first measurable snow event here in Ames, so we were just shy of 2 inches, and that was a nice learning experience and fun to kick off that new job.
A little unusual for November, but certainly not unheard of.
Yeah, it was a little bit earlier than I was anticipating. I think everyone was, but our crews are top notch. They were ready for it. They made it easy on me because they know what to do, and I think they handled it rather well.
So I think a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with sort of the strategy for snow fighting in Ames. There are actually certain triggers that put the snow ordinance in effect, and at certain snowfall we plow the arterials, and then it moves out to the residentials.
Yes, that's correct. The policy set by City Council that we will start plowing anytime we reach about 2 inches of snow. Before that, you will see us performing some ice control we use a variety of different methods, such as brine, which is very, very effective on light snow amounts, and it's very effective at moderate temperatures. As you get a lot colder, the brine loses its ability to really melt snow or ice. So we will use more salt, possibly with calcium chloride to help that. But back to the policy, when we reach 2 inches, we will plow the arterials and collectors and the snow routes within the city, but we won't be into residentials at that point in time. Once we hit 3 inches of snow on the city arterials, we will go into effect where we will go into all the residential areas as well as the arterials and collectors. So we kind of are set by policy there. We monitor the snowfall as it comes in. If we're seeing that we're going to be over that 3-inch amount, it varies storm to storm when we start plowing. We like to keep the streets and roads open as much as we can during the business hours, the rush hour, if you want to call it, in Ames, to get people to work and back home from work. So we try to work around those with what our strategies are as well. We have contractors that do come in on the larger snow events that help us clear the city. We can clear the city in in 6 to 8 hours without any problem at all. So, part of that snow ordinance helps us get that into effect.
So for those people who often park vehicles on streets, the key thing for them to know is when that 2 inches of snowfall comes, the snow ordinance goes into effect, which means if you park along a snow route, you have to move your car.
Yes, and we will publicize that as the snow ordinance goes into effect. We'll push it out via social media, Facebook, Twitter. We'll use a city's Channel 12 website, local media stations, radio. Try to get it out to. There's a variety of different ways that people will get their information. So we try to hit everyone as best we can. But once you hit the 2-inch mark, really what that allows us to do is to get the streets plowed quicker, and it allows us to let those residents have their cars parked on the streets. If they can get them out of the way, they will not be snowed in on those large events. If their vehicles are there and we don't get them towed and don't get them moved, we can bury them in snow where they struggle to get out.
Well, you mentioned you are at risk for getting ticketed and towed if you are parked on a snow route and the snow ordinance is in effect. And again, there are lots of places that you've mentioned that we use to alert people. Again, just keeping your eye to the sky. The 2 inches of snow has fallen. You know that triggers the snow ordinance, but we have it on our city website. It's on Channel 12. We put it out on Facebook and Twitter. We release that information to the local media, so we hope that they're helping us get that information out to them. But I think sort of the best thing to just remember is 2 inches, I better move my car.
Yes, it being proactive absolutely helps. We don't want to ticket or tow anybody, and we try to avoid that as much as possible. But we do have a necessity to fill the need for the city and be able to do that to keep the streets safe and clear that way. So it does become a necessity sometimes to put the snow ordinance into effect.
And sometimes people say, well, I didn't know that I lived on a snow route. Again, look for those red and white signs that are posted in neighborhoods. If you're on a Cyride route, you're probably on a snow route.
That's correct.
Yeah. And I know for long-term residents, often people will know, they've been through the drill year after year after year, but because we have so many newcomers into Ames every single year, those first few snows can be a real eye-opener for some of our newcomers.
Yes, and I think you're exactly right there with the university and their population. That's where the social media really helps us reach out. If I could encourage any of the students or any of the population that way to just see us on Facebook or on Twitter, that is the quickest way for us to get information out to people. It's done in real time. If a snow ordinance goes into effect, we usually push that out relatively quickly. We try to give people some advance notice. So it's not just going into effect in 10 minutes. It'll be a matter of hours so you can make some plans and get moved. Yeah,
I think the city's been really accommodating in giving people at this hour the snow ordinance will go into effect. And it, like you said, it's not in 5 minutes or 20 minutes. Here's some time, plan your day, and make sure that your vehicle's off the street. Welch Avenue, a snow route. Any of those other campus ones that are Ash Avenue, also a snow route.
Ash, Knapp, Lynn, a lot of those out in that area. They're narrower streets in the older part of town that have parking on either alternate or both sides. It makes it difficult to get large plows through there.
Okay. So in addition to the snow ordinance, which of course is a big deal for our citizens, we also have some rules regarding sidewalks and clearing those. We have a large population of pedestrians in this community who use those sidewalks to get around. What's the rule on sidewalk clearing?
We have a policy that's set within 10 daylight hours to have the sidewalk cleared, minimum of 4 foot wide. So we ask that residents or business owners basically have that cleared because of the walkability we have in this town, because there's a lot of pedestrians that use a lot of the walkable routes. We will get complaints sometimes if the sidewalks are not cleared, and then if that happens, we will go investigate. And then if we find that the walk needs to be cleared, we'll post it, try to make contact with the property owner within 24 hours. We expect them to have that cleaned, and if not, then the city will contract someone to get it cleaned, and that cost is passed along to that property owner at that time.
Along with some administrative fees.
Yes.
It's probably not a good way to contract out your snow removal.
No, it is not. It's there are better ways to do it. So we encourage people to go ahead and get them cleaned. It's for the safety of themselves and the safety of the rest of the public that's out there as well. And one other thing I would note is as they're cleaning their walks, to watch for those fire hydrants as well. It helps with fire suppression and helps the fire department so we can find the fire hydrants in the case of an emergency.
So now, before the snow's fallen and the ground is kind of gray looking and brown, locate those fire hydrants. If they're in your neighborhood, find out where they are and help to keep them clear. That's a huge help for the Ames Fire Department.
Absolutely.
And another thing to consider is if you have a sidewalk that empties out into the street at a corner, you might want to clear that as well. Sometimes those get a bit of a drift in front of them.
Yes, absolutely. When the snow plows come by, it's inevitable that there will be snow winged into either driveways or especially those pedestrian ramps, as you mentioned there. And that's a critical access point for people to cross streets. So again, if you have a corner lot, minimum 4 foot wide there as well, just similar to your sidewalk.
Looking forward to a busy winter?
Yes, I'm excited to be in this position. I'm excited for the challenges it brings. I'm hoping for a mild winter for my first one, but we'll see. We'll be ready to go. The crews that we have are well trained, and they've done this for many years. So they'll make my job easy. My job's mainly to make sure they have what they need and help make some of those more difficult policy decisions when that time comes.
Well, Justin, it sounds like we're in good hands. We look forward to having you back this season to tell us how it's going.
Thank you.
Well, one final reminder about the snow ordinance. Once the snow ordinance goes into effect, there is no all clear that it is not in effect anymore. Simply look out your window, and if your street has been plowed from curb to curb and no additional snowfall is predicted, you may again park in the street. If you want more information about the snow ordinance, look at our website at cityofames.org. Check out our social media pages at City of Ames on Facebook and Twitter. Look on Channel 12 or check your local media. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.